Another day of Vlogmas. Let's get straight into this episode. Today we're going to be talking about low light shooting, and I have a few tips for you all because a lot of people think low light shooting means no light shooting. The problem that I see with a lot of low light videos is the misconception that you have to be shooting at a super high ISO to be considered shooting low light, and you have to use literally no light available to you, when that's not the case at all. So a lot of people directly relate low light shooting to shooting at high ISO values and literally using no light available to them, when in all actuality, the best way to look at low light shooting is to look at low-key lighting. A real quick terminology breakdown of low-key lighting. Low-key lighting is typically a lighting setup that you see in photography and film where the image is predominantly shadowed and there's a clear-cut contrast between the highlights and shadows in the image. It's like a direct inverse to high-key lighting. You typically see this in dramatic films and like dramatic photos as well. Just look at it like this. High-key lighting is typically a flat image that has similar tones all the way across the board. Low-key lighting is typically a lot more contrasted, a lot more shadows, and a clear difference between the shadows and the highlights. So your boy's about to go link up with Tino, head out, go grab some low light shots, and then when I come back, we'll talk about them. I'll give you all a few tips on a few different ways to look at low light shooting, so you won't just go out and instantly go to the highest ISO possible and not even think about the lights in the scene. Words of wisdom.
Yo, words for today, compliment somebody. Because not everybody is motivated, and there are some people that are uninspired right now, and a compliment or a push could absolutely change everything about their life and their motivation and inspiration. So make sure you're complimenting people and you're uplifting people and trying to motivate and inspire people around you so you and them can all be great.
Alright, so before I get out of here, I have 3 tips that are going to help you become a better low light filmer. The first tip is find a light and get your subject as close to that light as possible. One typical mistake that a lot of people do is they go out and they instantly just start increasing their ISO when they're low light filming. And that's cool, and that's going to gradually increase the actual exposure of your image, but if you don't have a light in it, then it's just going to be a flat image. You need some sort of light source in your shot to create contrast and get good low-key lighting. So find a light source and get your subject as close to that light source as possible. In this shot right here, you can see I'm standing and I'm posting up on the window of a store on the downtown mall. Now as Tino backs out, you can literally see it's a light right next to me. By me getting as close to the light as possible, it's lighting me and it's just creating a good contrast between me and the background. The second tip to help you film better in low light is to be aware of the background and use the darkness to your advantage. What I mean by this is, it's okay to silhouette the subject of the shot out if the background is aesthetically pleasing to look at. A lot of the times when people are low light filming, they feel like the subject always has to be lit. They feel like the subject's face always has to be shown, but that's not the case at all. If you have a background that's aesthetically pleasing to look at, it's gonna be better most of the time for you to just expose for that background and just have your subject be completely dark or semi-dark. These shots right here where I'm looking up at the blinking sign, you can see that the background is just so aesthetically pleasing with the depth of field aspect that we shot it at, that it really doesn't matter what I look like. It doesn't matter that my face is lit or not. If you're telling a continuous story throughout your video, we as the viewers are gonna know that that's the person that is the subject of the video. We don't always need to see their face or their facial expression. Literally, if the background looks good, then you can expose for that sometimes. The third and final tip that's gonna help you film better in low light is to supply your own light sometimes. Now this doesn't have to be a full-on LED panel or a big Hollywood movie lighting setup or something that plugs into the wall. You can get really good lighting from your cell phone. In these shots right here where I was shooting Tino, I was using the Aperture AL-M9 light. It's literally like a little LED light that's like literally this big, and it outputs amazing power, but it's so small and versatile for what you can do with it. So we set this up on my mini Manfrotto tripod, shot it at his face, and we just let the background and the actual street light the back of his head. Like, the contrast that we get in there is really good. Most of the time, supplying your own light for low light shooting is an amazing idea. And like I said, it doesn't always have to be a full-on movie lighting setup with a lot of LED panels and spotlights. Like, you can literally use your cell phone. Like, I could have used my cell phone for that exact same shot and got the exact same effect with it. So there it is, guys. Learn low-key lighting. You don't always have to have a low light monster camera like an A7S II to do good low light footage. Just mess around with it, learn to get your subject as close to the light as possible, really pay attention to the background and how it looks in contrast to the subject of the shot, and also supply your own light sometimes. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop me a like, comment, also subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Peace out, guys.